There are so many piano libraries on the sample market, it's ridiculous. That's why I won't usually make a video about a piano library, unless it's something special. A 200 gig piano library from Embertone is something special. So here we are. We'll focus on the standard version of the library and its features first, as all the other mic positions use the same controls and interface as the main mic perspective. Welcome to Walker 1955 Steinway D. This piano has a kind of rare balance between sounding disciplined and precise and sounding characterful and lifelike. It's a magical blend that comes to life under your fingers and sounds good no matter where you put it. Pop, rock, classical, cinematic. It can handle it all while sounding tasty. This is due to both the comprehensive sampling and the different mic perspectives provided, which we'll get into in a bit. What you've heard so far are the standard pedal up and pedal down samples. It sounds great. But composers usually like to have a brighter piano sound for some applications and a softer piano sound for others. This is where the Walker really shines. Because the piano was recorded with both the pedal up and pedal down samples for both standard and una quarter, which is the soft pedal, you can switch over to get that velvety tone with that soft attack. This is a wonderful thing, because it's like getting two favourite piano libraries in the one package. For me, the uniquarter samples make this library an instant classic. We also get tight staccatos. Nice. But two features I personally love are these. The pedal catch which reactivates the sustains at a lower volume when you release the keys and engage the sustain pedal immediately after. And the adaptive releases. This is a big one. Soft, hard, slow and fast releases have been sampled for the piano and programmed to activate according to your playing style. So getting a true-to-life release sound for fast and slow playing is as simple as just playing. This feature makes the piano so much more playable than your average piano library, and you can notice the difference with it on and off. Phenomenal. Of course, Sostenuto is also possible, where you hold a chord, engage the Sostenuto pedal to sustain the held notes, then free play unsustained notes while the held ones ring out. There is one feature that hasn't been implemented yet, a resonance crossfade for when notes are held and then the sustain pedal is engaged. I was curious about that, so I got in touch with Jonathan from Embertone, and he explained that this feature was definitely planned for the library, but they still haven't decided on exactly how they want to implement it. And they wanted to release the library sooner rather than later. So if you've noticed the lack of this feature, just know there are plans to add it to the library once they've settled on their preferred method. Now, a quick look at the controls. You can turn the staccato mode on and off. You can reduce the amount of velocity layers to save RAM. You can turn una quarter mode on and off, turn round robins on and off. You can thin the bottom end out. Add some compression. Or add subtle saturation, which makes the notes sound a little thicker. Then you've got the old EQ and reverb. You can shape the velocity response and the velocity volume here. And you can cut into the sample start. And bring up the pedal and release noises. And finally, you can purge the pedal up samples, pedal down samples, una quarter samples, staccato samples, or adaptive release samples. This is helpful if you want to only play the pedal down samples or the una quarter set and you don't want the extra load. You can even change which MIDI CCs activate which pedal modes. Nifty. Of course, the library also comes with the option of nabbing all of the extra mic positions or just some of them. I want to showcase these positions in full, so I'll let you hear them rendered, because I don't think my computer would like me using 13 gigs of RAM while recording. The alternate close mics have a thinner tone. Good for pop and modern music. The hammer mics are similar but closer and more precise. The wide mics are more intimate and cinematic sounding. The binaural mics have an airy, true-to-life player perspective. and the room mics have a surprising clarity and closeness. As you can hear, these separate mic sets aren't your typical smaller pieces of a larger sum. Each mic position functions as its own standalone instrument, which really gives this library a boost in terms of usability and application. Each perspective sounds similar, but with just enough difference in sound to facilitate all-round use in virtually any setting, which makes this library a strong contender for the nebulous only piano you'll ever need category. If you're wondering what mics you should get as extras, I highly recommend the binaural mics and the room mics. That'll give you 3 solid perspectives to cover almost anything. Of course, the library is pretty hefty, but the uniquarter samples and adaptive releases are totally worth the disk space. Now, considering this is a relentlessly deep sampled piano with 6 strong mic positions, you'd expect it to be priced along the lines of something like Imperfect Samples Ebony Grand or Spitfire's HZ Piano, right? Think again. $100 for the main mic library, which is more than enough content for most composers, or $175 for the whole shebang. This is unprecedented. Not only is this the most deep sampled, feature-packed piano you can get for $100, even the 6 mic version costs less than half of what this does. Hell, you can even pick which extra mics you'd like for $15 each. There are plenty of sample developers who would be more than happy to charge a minimum of $300 for a piano library of this caliber, and Embertone have boldly challenged that notion with this library. It could very well change how other developers go about sampling and pricing future libraries, truth be told. This all adds up to a library that is almost impossible to pass up. Piano libraries can be very personal for composers, and it can be hard to invest money into a library you may or may not fancy all that much. But you've got almost nothing to lose and everything to gain by taking a chance on the Walker Steinway. It won't break the bank, and it's a phenomenal instrument. An absolute must-have. A quick tip. If you're using an older computer like me, or any computer for that matter, do yourself a favour and batch resave the library patches before you load them up for the first time. The initial load takes a while, and resaving the patches manually can take forever, so batch resave before you play and everything will load up fine. If you do change something and you want to save the patch again, save a snapshot instead. That'll make your life easier. Now, here's a listen to some of the provided snapshots. And that's that. I'll see you next time with another library. Check you later.